A car maker and florist are among the first businesses to be given royal warrants by King Charles. The warrants give a boost to the businesses who are awarded them.
Diana never held this. 15 years as Princess of Wales, the most photographed woman alive, and not once. The last woman with that title who did hold it gave it up in 1910, 116 years ago. 4 generations, 2 world wars, and an entire 70-year reign without a single exception. Then King Charles signed a notice so plain that most of the country scrolled straight past it, and Catherine now holds a power only a reigning monarch is allowed to hand out. It's already moving behind closed doors, and nobody at the palace will tell you what's coming next. The quiet notice.
Kate Middleton's name apparently caused major drama between Prince William and his father, because the now King Charles once asked her to change her name.
Here's what almost everyone missed. This didn't arrive as breaking news. It arrived the way real royal power nearly always moves, folded into an administrative notice from a body most of the country has never heard of, written so flatly that the significance slid straight past the front pages. No balcony appearance, no portrait release, no statement read out in a palace courtyard, just a confirmation that the Prince and Princess of Wales would each begin granting royal warrants of appointment in their own names.
I think that Charles really made every effort to welcome Kate into the family. He said that they were close. He said that William was very, very lucky to have found Kate.
If that phrase means nothing to you right now, stay with me. By the end of this, you'll understand why the people who study the palace for a living stopped what they were doing when they read it. Because here's the thing about that authority. King Charles is the only person alive who can hand it out. Not Parliament, not the household, not a committee of constitutional advisors. The reigning monarch decides who in the family may grant royal warrants, and since he came to the throne in 2022, he'd kept it tightly held between himself and Queen Camilla. 3 years. Nobody else in the family got near it. Then he opened the circle, and the 2 names he added were William and Catherine. And there's no appeal against a decision like that in either direction. You can't apply to become a grantor. You can't lobby for it, or campaign your way in, or earn it by being popular. The monarch either extends the authority or he doesn't. For 116 years, the answer for whoever was holding Catherine's title had been the same silent no. What a grantor is.
There are many ways in which a royal warrant benefits a business. It says it's luxurious, it says it's high quality, it says it's sustainable, but above all, it allows that company to charge a price premium.
So what did she actually get? A royal warrant of appointment is the oldest surviving endorsement in British commercial life. It goes to a company or an individual who supplied goods or services to the royal household on a regular, ongoing basis, and the bar is deliberately punishing. 5 years of supply out of the previous 7. A live trading relationship still in place. There's no fee that buys it, no shortcut, no favor. You supply the household for years, and then you wait to be considered. What you get back is the right to display the royal arms. On the product, the packaging, the stationery, the advertising, the shop front, the delivery vans, and it isn't permanent. A warrant runs up to 5 years and gets reviewed in the year before it expires, which means it can be taken away as quietly as it was given. The Royal Warrant Holders Association has been policing this for well over a century, and it does remove them. A change of ownership, a lapse in supply, standards slipping. The arms come off the box at the next review. Charles has been doing this a very long time. He started granting warrants as Prince of Wales in 1980. So by the time he became king, he had 4 decades of practice deciding which British firms deserved the arms above their door. Since the accession, he and Camilla have granted them at scale, more than 140 in the first batch, several hundred more after that, until the combined list ran to roughly 600 names. And that list is where this stops being about palaces and starts being about people you'd recognize on a high street. Before we go further, take 1 second and subscribe, because what is actually on that list will surprise you. And after it comes the part where the 116-year gap finally makes sense. The arms on boxes. Yes, it includes the names you'd expect: Bentley, Jaguar, Burberry, Twinings, Cartier, Waitrose, but it also includes a chimney-sweeping firm, a ribbon and tassel manufacturer, a waste recycling service, a maker of traditional besom brooms and pea sticks. Stand in that last workshop for a second. Someone bundling birch and willow by hand, the way it's been done for centuries, in a yard somewhere in the English countryside, surrounded by stacked bundles and the smell of cut wood. Then, the arms going onto the box that leaves the door, the same arms as Bentley, the same arms as Cartier. A competitor down the road with better machinery and a bigger budget cannot buy that, not for any amount, in any currency, ever. That's what this system actually is. Not luxury, supply, reliability, and craft, and it always has been. A warrant list is the closest thing Britain has to a written record of who the crown actually depends on, week to week, year after year, long after the cameras have gone home, which makes it very strange indeed that for over a century, one particular woman was never allowed anywhere near it. The missing century. Here's the fact that turns a dry notice into history. The last Princess of Wales to grant one of these was Mary of Teck, and she stopped when her husband became King George V in 1910. After that, the title carried no warrant-granting authority at all, not through 2 world wars, not through the abdication, the Blitz, rationing, the arrival of television, the collapse and rebuilding of whole British industries, not once across the long reign of Queen Elizabeth II, 116 years, 4 generations. In all of it, not one Princess of Wales was handed the ability to put the crown's name behind a British supplier. And it isn't as though nobody noticed what was being left on the table. The Princess of Wales is one of the most photographed people alive. Her clothes get catalogued within minutes. Her preferences move money whether she wants them to or not. The crown had a century to connect that visibility to something official and chose not to. Which brings us to the woman who paid for that choice most publicly. The Diana absence. Charles started granting warrants as Prince of Wales in 1980. He married Diana in 1981. Think about where she was standing. Every outfit on a front page within a day. British labels she favored selling out and scrambling to restock. Factories running extra shifts because of what she'd worn to a hospital opening. She was, by any measure of attention, the most photographed woman on the planet, and her effect on British fashion and British manufacturing was enormous and thoroughly documented. 15 years of that, and she never signed a single royal warrant, not one. The authority sat with her husband, who'd had it since before the wedding, and it was never extended to her. All that commercial power moving through one person, and no official channel existed for her to point any of it at a British supplier and say, this one. Nobody has ever fully explained why. That decision would have rested with Queen Elizabeth II, and the late Queen made a great many household decisions that were never accompanied by any published reasoning. What's certain is the outcome. Diana held the title. Diana didn't hold this power. Now line that up against Catherine. She was given the title of Princess of Wales in September 2022, in the days after the late Queen's death. For the first 3 years she held it, she stood in exactly the same position, same title, same visibility, same missing authority. Then, quietly, that changed. Which is why a routine notice made the people who watched the palace closely put down what they were holding. Charles didn't hand his daughter-in-law a pleasant ceremonial gesture. He closed a gap that had stayed open right through his own first marriage. And he closed it for a woman the market already reacts to like a weather event. The Kate effect. That pattern has a name and a start date, the 16th of November, 2010. Catherine appeared to announce her engagement in a blue wrap dress by Issa, and the dress sold out, not gradually, almost immediately. Every year since, the same thing has happened to coats, boots, earrings, whole small British labels that woke up to find a season of stock gone in an afternoon. Long-standing royal correspondence at the British broadsheets and the trade press that covers the warrant system year in and year out have called the warrant the gold standard of endorsements. The settled expectation across the industry is that one carrying Catherine's name will rank among the most sought after in the whole system. That's an expectation, not a palace statement. But it isn't a wild one. Here's the difference, and it's the whole thing. Unlike a photograph, a warrant does not fade with the news cycle. The dress sells out, the story moves on, and 6 months later, the label is back to competing on nothing but its own name. The arms stay on the box, 5 years of them. Renewable, recognized internationally, unavailable to your competitor at any price. Which is exactly why the conditions attached to it deserve more attention than they've been getting. The quiet conditions. Because there's a clause in the rules that most coverage skipped straight over. Any company chasing a warrant has to demonstrate an appropriate environmental and sustainability policy, backed by a real action plan. That requirement didn't exist for most of the system's history. It was introduced by Charles himself during his years as Prince of Wales, in the decades when he was routinely mocked in the British press for holding exactly those positions. So read what that actually means. The authority Catherine's been handed arrives with a condition built into it that reflects her father-in-law's lifelong preoccupation. Whatever she does with this power, she does it inside a frame he shaped, applying a test he wrote to businesses that had to meet it long before her name appeared anywhere near the process. And then there's the timetable, which is the part that should make you sit up. Applications from eligible companies opened during May and June of this year, which means assessment of the first names is already running behind closed doors right now while you're watching this. Due diligence on a warrant is slow and deliberately unglamorous. And the palace has been careful to say the timescale depends entirely on how many businesses apply. So, this isn't a proposal. It isn't a plan held in reserve for some future reign. It's already in motion, and the timing of it is the one thing no palace statement is ever going to explain to you. Why now matters. We need to be careful here, because this concerns living people, and the line between fact and interpretation is where these stories usually go wrong. The facts first. Charles disclosed his cancer diagnosis in February 2024 and has continued treatment since. Catherine disclosed her own weeks afterward, announced in January 2025 that she was in remission and has returned to public duties on a deliberately phased and selective basis, prioritizing her 3 children. Across 2025, Charles carried out well over 500 public engagements. William carried out more than 200. Catherine, still rebuilding, carried out 68. Those are documented figures. What people do with them is interpretation, and the interpretation you'll hear most often is that Charles is steadily transferring the working substance of the monarchy toward the Waleses, while he's still well enough to set the terms himself. That reading is reasonable. It is also unconfirmed by the palace, and it should not be repeated as though it were established fact. There's a plainer explanation available too, and it deserves a hearing. Catherine has held the title for 4 years, has come through a serious illness, and has spent that time building exactly the kind of long-term interest in British craft and industry that this system was built to recognize. Sometimes the simple reading is the right one, but notice what this decision does that a new patronage doesn't. A patronage can be quietly handed back. A warrant is an act of state recognition with a 5-year life, issued in Catherine's own name, entering the commercial record of the country. It is not symbolic, it is administrative, and administrative things are what actually survive, which leaves the one question nobody at Kensington Palace is going to answer for you. What's going to be on that first list? What happens next? Speculation has already started, and be clear with yourself that speculation is all it is. Names raised by commentators include long-standing royal suppliers and British houses closely associated with Catherine's public wardrobe, but no list has been confirmed by Kensington Palace, and anyone presenting one to you as fact is guessing. Here's what can be said with confidence. When that list finally appears, it'll be the clearest public statement Catherine has ever made about what she values in British industry. Not an interview, not a speech, a list of names signed. Every name on it is a choice. Every omission is a choice as well. read together, it becomes a document about her judgment, and it sits in the public record for 5 full years before renewal comes around, and then it gets reviewed, which means the very first list she signs comes back for judgment before this decade is out. She isn't only picking companies, she's building a record she'll be measured against by people who will have had 5 years to decide whether she chose well. One last thing worth holding on to. Charles could have kept this. He held it alone for more than 4 decades as Prince of Wales. He held it with Camilla for 3 years as king, at a moment when opening the circle invited every kind of commentary about succession, about stability, about whether he was quietly stepping back from something. He gave it away anyway, to the 2 people who will carry the crown after him, and he did it in a written notice so plain that most of the country never noticed it happening. That is usually how the decisions that actually matter happen. Not with a proclamation, with paperwork. If this cleared something up for you, subscribe, because that first warrant list is coming, and we will break down every name on it the moment it lands. And tell me down in the comments, which British brand do you think deserves to be the first name Catherine ever signs for?